The success of The Gate was a total surprise. I wrote it in a dark period of my life, very quickly, all at night, and I wrote it in 4 weeks, just to like get a bunch of like dark feelings out of my system. And so when we made it, it was this tiniest little film. It was this little Canadian film, and yeah, that's the success caught me by surprise and did a lot of good for my career.
Yeah, it started off a lot of things, primed the pump, so to speak.
Now, was it the highest grossing Canadian produced film ever
at that time? Or,
yeah.
Or it was like right next to Porky's or something.
Yeah.
Like, you know, one of those things.
It's the title of my autobiography,
yeah,
right next to Porky's.
Yeah, but it, you know, and then the attention it attracted because it beat out or was on
almost. It was close to Ishtar.
Ishtar, but also what I noticed over the years that it never really disappeared or melted away. It just kept there. It stayed there. It stayed in people's consciousness somehow, and it kind of maybe is growing. And there seems to be a lot of love for it even today.
Well, and it also had, you know, it also had great effects. The but what it had about, you know, in that is it had its own identity, right?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like everything everybody was doing then. First of all, it was low budget, but second of all, it was just different.
Well, no one was doing that forced perspective thing.
No.
And I mean, people I talk to about it still talk about the moment of delight when the workman falls and breaks into a million minions.
I think it started the day after it opened, kind of.
Yeah.
But it was all just, you know, just hype talk at that moment. And it kept growing for a long time. I think we were all kind of a bit reticent about it. And we kind of were dragging our feet a little bit because we really felt that we poured our guts into it and what kind of sequel it would be. You know, it would be a problem to come up with a sequel. It was kind of a big challenge. We weren't up for it at that moment, or it didn't feel right.
Well, for me, I mean, you guys, Andras, was it Andras? I think approached me to write the sequel, and I said, as long as I direct it. And he said, well, no.
Yeah,
T-Boy's directing it. And I said, okay, well, good luck to you. Have fun. And then you guys went off and did something with some other writer.
That was like a year.
Him guy did.
Yeah.
We were working on I'm Madman together,
That's
and
right,
I think you were working with the other writer on The Gate
I don't know
too.
why that ended. I guess just
For whatever reason.
Yes, for
it
whatever
was also
reason.
Weird that, the script was not in line with what they were looking for and all that kind of stuff. But that was just percolating underneath.
Yeah, and then Andras came back to me, and it was a month or two into a writer's strike in the U.S., and I had just gotten married.
Yeah.
And suddenly the idea became a lot more attractive. And so we went, and I spent a summer in Toronto writing it.
Yeah. Part of this whole thing also was that it was a 2-picture deal. That's how they sort of, I've always been hesitant to do the sequel. I never was like that big on doing it because I felt strong about what we had accomplished, and I was sort of down on sequels at that moment. And they kept pushing it always like, okay, well, we'll let you do this film if you do us a Gate 2. And that happened at a few places. And finally this one turned out to be the one where we said, okay, all right. This was right after Gate 1. Everybody just wanted me to make another movie, either like The Gate or the same movie. And at the time, I was thinking, why would I do that?
You were taking a lot of meetings for films with little people in them.
That's right,
There
exactly.
There was,
And I thought it was like absurd.
Americans.
Yes.
Remember about tiny American astronauts?
Yeah. But that's the sort of thing. People just wanted me to do the same thing over again, and I just thought, it was sort of absurd to me.
I thought it would only be successful if there was an Ishtar 2 in
Yes,
the works.
exactly.
That would come out.
Yeah.
Oh, meow.
There was a lot of talk with having Stephen in the movie, but at the time I remember talking to his parents, and they were saying that Stephen maybe needed to take a break. They didn't say no, but you know, we was all because I think I was living at their place for a while. You know, so I was sort of involved in the family a little bit, and I thought, you know, maybe it is a good thing for Stephen to take a little break. Around that time, I can't remember what was happening in his career, but they were talking about, well, you know, not sure. I said, okay, you know.
But also, I seem to remember there was talk about it might be a different movie if it takes the Terry character as the main character. It wouldn't be the same movie.
thing over again.
Yeah.
I felt good about that. I felt maybe this is the right thing. Yeah, exactly. That was also part of it. Because we really did want to make a different story. Didn't want to do the same thing again.
The vessel will send him through the gate, straight back to hell.
Oh, wait a minute. You're going to do the conjure thing again, call the demons?
And then the Pamela character, I had a Pamela Siegel, was a difficult choice. I wanted to feel natural, you know, that this type of guy, like Louis was, what kind of girl you might believe, you know, would have a romantic inclination towards or each other, you know.
Although I remember her her audition was just not like was
it was fantastic.
So good. And talk to me just briefly, say, because I'd like to hear a little love for Simon, whose career I've not followed, but he was so good.
Yeah, he's, you know, he did a bunch of television.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him active lately, but, you know, he was a busy boy.
Oh, and he was, you know, we worked with him a lot, and they had a lot of this acting to tape marks bullshit that actors have to do when they're fighting the monsters.
Yeah, the special.
And but he was so, he's just really, really, really a good actor. And when he throws the money down onto the table and it turns to poo, and we can say poo, right? When he throws it down, it turns to poo. And he does a take, and you just hold on this take, and he just keeps it alive, you know. He was always very, very inventive, and he always came across with the goods.
He had strange choices or different choices than other people would make.
Yeah.
And his intent was always very clear. That's why I about him.
He was really good, really good. Of course, you know, Louis got out of acting, which is sort of too bad because I thought he was quite good too. And Pamela's still in acting.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good cast, and I thought the script was really lively and funny and touching, and it was I thought just insofar as what the actors had to do, I think it's a better actor's vehicle than the original one. I think it's a better script for them than the original one. Kind of like Son of Kong was a better script for the actors to play. Lousy effects.
They had more to do,
Yeah.
It's older kids.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
which
and
always
you've got
helps.
Romance, and you've got hormones, and you've got
Yeah,
teen
and that's what we
angst,
were
and-
addressing, is that we wanted to raise the age.
And you've got kids who've been, you know, who when they're acting have got a little more experience under their belts, so rather
I
than
mean, Gate 1 suffered a little from the characters are written a bit younger than the actors.
Yeah.
They're a little behind the curve. And so I think, you know, we were grateful for being able to be liberated by Gate 2 and make them their actual age.
Serious.
Yeah.
Try
Put
to-
them in situations they still weren't quite ready for.
Look at it. It's amazing. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
she was like the great dancing star of Hungary at the time, and Andras was trying to get her, you know, to come over to our side of the Atlantic and do some work, and she, you know, I mean, we discussed making that it would be a very cool thing to have, since I was happy with my minion design, I thought, oh, this is a good character. Let's just do one and concentrate on him, you know? And so got Andrea, who was, you know, who's tough as nails, just physically. She was dancing for the commies from the time she was 6. And, you know, I mean, come on. And very good, very smart and funny. And what happened was that the suit, was not as flexible as it needed to be. Let's just put it that way, which limited her movements, which limited what we could do with the Minion. Yeah, but she was very, very, very good, and she really was
She
not
worked hard.
And she had, she really could not,
She spent all day in a 50-pound
Yeah.
Minion suit, you know.
like a suit of armor, basically. It actually was so stiff we had
You couldn't have a wimp in there. That's for sure.
had to be cut and gusseted, right? So anyway, so that was our first of many many changes of plan. I don't know. I mean, we did have some
There
interesting
are
things.
very interesting shots and technically challenging and maybe not obvious because they are
Yeah.
so well executed. You know?
But picking up the Minion, I mean, things like
Yeah.
you know, lots of contact.
Yeah,
You
that
pick
stuff,
up the
yeah.
Minion with a fork, or you grab him with a hockey glove, and you don't cut away. You just
Yeah.
walk off the shot with him, which I was particularly proud of, and it was a difficult thing to do. And my staff put together a very good half-size Canadian hockey glove that matched perfectly.
when you're watching the movie, that stuff just goes like that, and
Yeah.
you're not even impressed. It's just like, wow,
Yeah.
okay, cool, but you're not thinking it because it is so seamless.
But the one thing we did together that was an interesting experience was shooting out at the Trona Pinnacles, which are kind of like a very half-assed Monument Valley, right? Out in the Salton Sea, is it? I don't know where
the Devil's Playground.
wherever it is. Anyhow, those are idle hands.
That's where Manson's old ranch, or
Oh,
something.
for fuck's
One of
sakes.
the ranches is out there. It's out in the desert,
How,
middle
how
of the desert.
comforting. But anyway, it was just, pinnacles, right? So we didn't want to just do it day for night. So I came up with the idiotic idea, which paid off, but it was really silly, to take the camera out there and then start shooting in the morning, shoot a plate in the morning, and then wait till midday, shoot again, same camera, locked down in the same place, and just, at the end of the day, shoot that. So you get 3 lighting setups that you can mix and match. It was summer, I think, and it was like shooting Lawrence
crazy.
of Arabia.
Yeah, it was
was
crazy
like
hot.
100 and X degrees, so we were putting ice packs on the camera. All that
I
stuff.
remember something. You got heat stroke or something at one moment.
Oh, I was probably just playing for sympathy.
I don't know. I remember you being on a walkie-talkie and not making any sense. I remember this.
You remember this only from this one experience?
Yes,
So
it was
he-
just that time. Any other time, I always understood what you were saying, even though other people may have not. I understood, but this time it was really like, holy shit, something's wrong.
We better get him. Yeah. Man down. Yeah. Jesus.
But
Well,
it was like, crazy.
there's
hot.
an awful lot of this movie I blanked, believe me.
Sacrifice.
Every day was a battle, and most of the days, you lost, or I lost, and for me, the most satisfying and well-met challenge were the perspective sets.
Yeah.
They put the Minion in a bird cage, right, and built a good bird cage. And I had a couple of angles that the bird cage had to be further away, right, from the camera than it appeared to be. And I know the first time Terry walks over the bird cage, he comes out from his sleeping area. He's living downstairs in the basement, right? And he has to come out around this wall and then walk over to the bird cage. But he's actually behind the bird cage when he peeks out from behind the wall, and we had to just sort of move everything and cram everything into these very complicated patterns or these complicated spatial relationships, because everything involving the Minion had to be 4 times as far away as it appeared to be, and everything had to be 4 times as big, right? To me, those were the satisfying perspective shots because Andrea didn't have a hell of a lot to do, you know, and it was just, it sort of messed with your mind. Why are you, you know, how can Liz have her arm behind the cage, which you know is really down there? Well, that's because we built a little bit of the cage to go in front of her, and hung, you know, the top of the cage up here, but the rest of it was down there, and so it was very, very precise. And I know it drove those two poor actors crazy, but they did very well with it, even when they had to work at half speed, because we were shooting it, you know, for the sake of depth of field and also for the sake of the Minions movement. We were shooting it at 12 frames a second, so they were doing playback. They were talking, but they were hearing themselves talking very, you know, walking like that. And they did, I mean, you know, it was a lot of shit to put them through, I'm afraid. But they did, you know, they did pretty well with it. Sometimes those speed gags don't work, and they didn't always work on this one, but it wasn't their fault.
Yeah,
All
like
kinds of
the
changes
set
and-
wasn't what we were planning originally. I remember the big finale was so different, and then certain logistical things presented themselves, like what Randy could achieve and what time we had and all that kind of stuff.
And making it up as
played
we went
into-
along,
yes,
yeah.
And then it played into the stuff that Michael had planned. It was a, you know, it was a confluence of tough things to deal with. But, you know, I think we kind of rose to the challenge and finished the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, going back, it was more, in my mind, the bigger differences were between Gate 1 and Gate 2 rather than Gate 2's intent and what we had to do to realize it. You know, and it just became about deeper stuff.
Yeah.
And it allowed us to get darker because we didn't have like little children.
That's right. Yeah, we wanted to be more mature, and it was never resolved whether it was going to be an R or PG or PG-13. That was not resolved till after the film was done.
And what did it end up being?
R.
Oh, it was R? Really?
R. Yeah, because
that's
that's
right.
Really?
Yes.
They kept pushing for an R. We kept saying this can't
Guys.
really be an R. It's, you know, it's about
All the
kids.
people that are going to go see it.
That's right.
Yeah, it's got fake rubber monsters in it, for
That's
Christ's
right.
sake.
So this is the thing that they never, even on the first one, they never quite
right.
resolved that.
Wow.
They thought, well, you know, it's an R, kids can go see it anyways. But we always felt that
really?
it's the wrong indication
Oh,
to the
God,
audience.
yeah.
You're selling something that's wrong.
Yeah.
This is not Freddy. This is something else. And that they made it an R. Of course people are going to be disappointed. And then they sort of pushed the R part. All we had was like maybe a couple of swear words. That was it.
Yeah.
That's what created the R, but that's what they wanted. They thought that would be better.
Right, those dang demons.
Yeah, yeah.
The first one, the critics were very complimentary to all of us, right down the line. Good reviews for all our work. The next one, not so much. I think the effects got
There
a
weren't that
drubbing.
many. It was not released that widely, you know.
It's funny, I have no memory of the reviews, which makes me realize they must have been bad.
They weren't
Yeah.
I
good.
wouldn't,
But that's all I
we only remember the good ones, but
well, those are the only ones that are right.
yeah. I think sometimes it's hard to hate a movie like that. There still seems to be some sort of earnest love that went into it.
Yeah.
People worked hard, tried hard. It's hard to really tear it apart, even though it didn't succeed in all its ambitions. But, you know, it's not a lazy movie.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So,
That's
No,
for
no,
sure.
we all worked really super hard on
yeah.
it.
Terrence. Terry?
I always felt it didn't know exactly what it wanted to be. That's what I felt when I was, maybe not when I was doing it, but as soon as I finished it, I kind of started to have that feeling.
I think it wanted to be a $50 million movie.
Yeah, it was overly ambitious, again, just like the first time. But this time there was a different mindset or different set of circumstances that we couldn't accomplish our over-ambitious goals.
Yeah,
Well, no,
yeah.
if you remember, when we were in the outline phase, we were just talking about it. I went to our producers and said, look, tell me what the budget is. Because I don't want to, like, don't put me in a position where I want to write this, like, huge third act, and we're going to go down the road, and at the last minute, I'm going to have to change it all. And I remember it was a battle with winged creatures, and it was like a battle in the sky, which
That's
is
right,
like,
yeah.
you know, even with Randy Cook is hard to do.
When we did The Gate, right? Yeah. I thought, and this is a lesson to all the children of future generations who will be making movies, you know, someday, or aspire to. Anyway, I thought if I did a really good, because we didn't have a lot of money. We really put on the first one that you would get a group of people with pockets filled with money saying, "Wow, they did. If they could do it that well with the little money we gave them, how great could they do with a little more money?" But instead, they said, if they could do it that well with the amount of money we gave them, how acceptable will it be for half that money?
Yeah, exactly.
And that is the way Hollywood works, and that's just the way it is.
But they didn't really indicate that off the top.
They didn't.
What happened was exactly what I was afraid would happen, which was we went into, not into production, but into prep with the sky fight and the winged creatures and all that stuff, and then at the last minute, there wasn't enough money. We had to rethink it, and so we had to rethink it in a way that
that looked lousy on screen.
Didn't have the same amount of time.
Yeah.
We took it apart to fix it to fit in the budget, and then never could arrange all the pieces in the right order. And I remember even in post, we had to re-edit the whole thing, or some switching scenes that to me to this day don't quite add up.
Surprise! Plenty of time to see the sacrifice. It's a big honor, a very big honor.
It was good to work on a film with my pals. It was not a good experience for any of us, I think, at the time. And we got in each other's hair a bit, but nevertheless, it's better to work with your friends than with strangers, I think. But you wouldn't know it from this picture. The first one I thought was fine. But I do value the friendships of these two guys. So to me, that's what I'm left with from this experience, you know?
You know, going back into Gate 2 was delicious because it was trying to recapture that same lightning that struck the first time, and to spend time with you guys.
Well, that was the fun part, being all together again.
And I think that, it's like, I'm listening to us here, and it's like we're being quite hard on the movie.
I'm not hard on anything. I'm just hard on my work in it. I think you guys did fine. I was not happy with what we did, and that scars it for me. And I think it's a very good script.
And I'm unhappy about not being able to steer it better, like to sort of make it cohesive, more cohesive. I think part of this sort of unbalance that I'm talking about, I feel like I blame myself for that. Somehow the tone, in a way, is, it's something that's not really acceptable when people sit down to watch a movie.
Isn't there like, I can't think of anything that I've done that I don't want to go back and redo.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I
hate everything.
Some need it more than others.
Yeah.
And I think your work on both of you guys did a very nice job on this.
Because I feel the same way about my work on it as you feel about yours. It's like, shit, I can do so much better. Damn it.
Why didn't I?
But that's not that's a feeling I have all the time.
Yeah.
Should have been an orthodontist.
And if it would have turned out great, we'd all be feeling great about our work. So.
Yeah. No, we wouldn't. We'd all be doing still. Oh no,
Yeah, that's true.
One more cut.
Yeah.
Okay, so Let's talk about Gate 3 today.
Where does it stand?
What would Gate 3 be?
Same kids.
No, then we'd be like, oh, they're just doing Stranger
No,
Things.
the same kids.
Oh, the same
They're
kid-
now
oh,
they're
Terry
now
and
losing their teeth. and
Dorf
shit,
and
you know?
all those guys.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They have
Get the
Okay.
same cast back.
All right, let's get on it. I'll get on it.
Get their kids.
Yeah.
You know.
So
Why
here's
did
the
I-
opening. Here's the opening. Terry, who's now at 55 years old,
He's
goes
not
into-
55.
goes in a liquor store, and behind the counter's a minion, and minion says, "Hey Terry, how you doing?" He goes, "I don't know, Ralph. It's like just it's not like the old days."